Greetings, greetings, greetings. It's another Karnivor'Ish Conversations tonight. Remember, this is the space where truth, taste, and transformation turn up. So let me start with a really bold question. How many of you have been told that your weight gain, your hot flashes, your broken sleep, your brain fog, or food reactions are all just a normal part of aging? Yep, that's what we hear happens when we hit these 40s, 50s for me, and 60s. Well, tonight we're going to continue to shatter this lie because healing is not about age. Healing is about a rhythm. And my guest tonight proves that you can be busy, blessed, balanced, happy, and healthy even at 60. This month, our theme has been about resetting, rhythm, reclaiming, because healing isn't found in another diet trend or some detox plan. Healing comes when you reset the fuel, hear me loud and clear, with the fuel that you've been taking in, how you reclaim your energy, and then you live in this rhythm that your body can finally trust. And that's why this show is called Karnivore-ish. It's not militant, it's not policing, but protein prioritizing is really important. Truth seeking, and I will say meat forward, MEAT, meat forward. And I always remember that the ish stands for informed, satiated, and healing. What do I mean by that? I mean, when you get the right information and you are informed, you will know that most of what you're dealing with is a lack of satiety. It's a lack of being satiated. It means you're ravenous all the time. When you get those two things, then it automatically leads to your body healing and starting to trust you again. This is a sacred space, the space where everyone is welcome. So tonight we're speaking to a female. I'm a female, but bring them in too. Whether you're on 10th day one, like you keep starting over, or you're still clinging to plants, like that is the savior, or you're at a place where you're starting to cut sugar, or you're kind of carnivore-ish curious, right? This place is for you. And tonight, I'm so honored to introduce to you a woman who embodies what this show is all about. She has spent 11 years in the classroom and 27 years, almost 3 decades, just working in educational sales and consulting. She's raising a family, she's serving in church, she's traveling, and she's taking care of grandkids. So she's a grandmother and her life is full. But she found a way to stop just surviving and start thriving. So at 60 years old, she's living proof that you can heal, you can balance, and you can reclaim your health. So welcome with me to the show. I would say tonight, you may need a little notebook because you got two educators on the screen tonight. So you may need a notebook to capture a few notes. So I'm going to bring to the stage with me Debra Simpson. Hey, Debra.
Hi, good evening, everyone. This is exciting.
Yes, so good to see you. Thank you for joining and being open to, share your transformation, the things that have been happening in your life. I mean, I've known you now, it seems like at least 15 years. It's been a long time since I've seen you, but I mean, you look great. You look marvelous, still thriving. And even at 60, like still, doing magnificent. So I'm excited to have you here. So I just want to start off by saying, like, there are too many women that hit their 40s and 50 and they think this fatigue and all this weight gain stuff, as I mentioned earlier, they feel like this is a part of my aging. This is what happens when you age. It's almost like a sentence, if you will. And what you and I are learning is that it's not necessarily that, right? And so we kind of just want to talk through that. If you would tell us a little bit more about you, your experience, that'll be awesome. I've already mentioned this 11 years in the classroom, this 20, I just call you a 30-year educator, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, let us hear a little bit about you. And again, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I was told all that and I believed all that. And that's where I lived for about 15 years. And I look back on those 15 years and think, I didn't sleep. I didn't feel my best. I wasn't always nice to be around because I was fatigued and I generated my stress and my unhappiness with myself and my body onto, the people that I care about the most. And aren't those the ones who always see their ugliest side, that we don't want to do? And I look back and think about all those years that I did not sleep. I mean, 2 to 4 a.m. I was either flipping and flopping and turning over the pillow and fluffing the covers and taking them on and taking them off, disrupting my husband's sleep, getting up, going in the office and working. I don't know. It was just crazy. And nothing I did, really helped. I would take Tylenol PM and that would kind of, knock me out, but then I'd have a hard time coming around the next day. But that wasn't solving the problem. It was just, knocking me out. And then the weight gain, I just felt puffy and bloated and out of sorts, so much of the time. And I wasn't managing stress well. I wasn't even doing the easiest things like, walking for 30 minutes a day because I was just, I don't know, lethargic, just flopped down on the couch after a full day and turned on the TV and just wasn't healthy at all. So it was a bad 15 years, Whoops, I think you're on mute.
Such a bad season for us in those days, right? And we just thought this was a normal part. So what I would like for you to do is in those 15 years, let's just take that one bracket of window. Talk to me like, what was your diet like then? Like, what were you eating? What did you think about what you were eating in that season of life that we can now say that may have been a contributor, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I ebbed and flowed. I would lose weight and gain weight, and I would try things, and I would do sugar busters. That was my first kind of, diving into it. And oh my stars, the 3 days of headache getting off of sugar was unbelievable, which was such a miraculous thing when I started carnivore, is that I did not have those headaches. So those 3 days of trying to detox from sugar, and I did feel better, and I did, do a little bit more and kind of cut carbs, and then, lost a little weight, fell off the wagon. And so then I would do something else. I did drops under my tongue. I did a couple of variety of things, and I would lose it for a little while, but it wasn't anything that I could live on. It just seemed like it wasn't sustainable. How many years are you going to put drops under your tongue every day? So I just fell off. Nothing was sustainable.
Yeah, so you're eating though, were you like eating sandwiches? Were you doing the wheat? Because I know for me, like there was a time where I was like giving up the white bread to eat more wheat bread. I ate more nuts. And so that in an attempt to be healthy, right?
Yeah.
Eating really lean chicken, eating the breast, eating big salads. And so we were exchanging what we thought was healthy for us, ultimately to learn that for me, it kept me ravenous. It kept me, I could never get enough. I could never get over my cravings because even if I ate a big salad and chicken, which appears to be healthy, I later was going to also have some cake and some cookies to go with it, right? Because I'm looking for a taste now. And so with your busy life, and all the things that you do, talk to us a little bit about what that looks like. You mentioned like being in 2 different states as a territory, moving around a lot. And so talk to us about what a day-to-day looks like for you in terms of work.
Yeah. Well, I do. I'm out about 2 weeks a month and kind of in the office 2 weeks a month. So, but when I am traveling, I have learned to, one, pack a cooler if I can, boiled eggs, tuna, diced chicken. And I've learned what I can get out, Cracker Barrel steak and eggs for breakfast all day long. That is one of my go-tos, and in my area, there's lots of Cracker Barrels. Airports, I have learned that Chick-fil-A has those grilled chicken nuggets that you can get 24 of in a little container. And I just take those right on the plane with me and eat those. And then, at hotels, the breakfast bars, I take a boiled egg, some boiled eggs with me. There's always bacon. There's usually scrambled eggs. I try to really load up when the good foods are available and have things packed away. The little tuna in the bag that I can eat out of the bag works great for me as well.
So you are helping the people. I just want to reinforce some things that you're saying. So even on the road, because I hear that a lot, is like, what can I eat? What can I have? And people, a lot, I've had like 3 conversations even up to today where people have this notion in their head that they cannot shake the concept of meat only. So I try to help people think like this is animal-based eating. This
Mm-hmm.
is removing sugar from your body, because everything other than meat metabolizes as sugar. That's a hard concept for some people to gather up, right? But you're saying like in a simple normal day when you're working, I can do a couple of boiled eggs and I'm good. If I'm on the road, I can stop at a Cracker Barrel. I mentioned to somebody a Waffle House today. Like Waffle House has pork chops. You can have them cooked in butter. They're cooking you real eggs because you're watching them crack them. And so even in our busiest lives, there's a way for us to continue to consume what's going to nourish our body. The goal is nourishment. And so when I hear people say things like, I can't do this, this sounds like too much, or they ask me, what is a day-to-day like for me? For me, I'm usually going to eat 1 meal a day because I'm satiated, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not as hungry and starving and malnourished as I was. So my body doesn't require as much. And so you've talked about how, now I got a cooler. That's a travel hack, y'all. You better write it down.
Yeah.
What to do with your hotel food, right? How at a hotel, if they have a breakfast, for me, I get a cup of bacon. If they got
Mm-hmm.
bacon on deck, I'm gonna give me a whole cup of bacon and keep it with me for the day. You talked about restaurant swaps, Cracker Barrel, great place to eat. Breakfast on deck. I was having a conversation with someone recently about when I was getting my master's. I stayed at Cracker Barrel every Saturday, but what was I eating? The mama's pancake breakfast.
Right.
so,
Yeah.
so now that is like off the list for me. I'm going to go in and get more eggs. So thank you for sharing that. And what I want the audience to really hear is what Debra is doing is prioritizing protein, number one, and she's not afraid of fat. That is making the difference. When you eat protein, you eat fat, then sugar becomes second nature to you. So Debra, let's dial back a little bit and tell us when you would say was your first try at carnivore, and what was it that triggered you to try? I remember getting a text message from, hadn't heard from you in a long time, but I remember getting a message from you saying, I'm trying it and I can sit now. So I want to hear about that story a little later as well.
Yeah. I don't know. I had kind of heard about it, just, scrolling on social media. I saw your post and it was February, and it's like, I turned 60 in January. It's like, okay, I'm in a new decade. I've got to have a new me. So I tried it, and what astonished me was I wasn't hungry. I was satisfied. And I had to unlearn a lot of bad things, that a, 20-ounce steak is okay for you to eat. And that, because that would be all you would want all day. And I see a lot of chatter about people think how expensive it is. It's not. You're not buying anything else. You're eating this for the day. And it's really not, because your health is such a priority. So, all those things I had to unlearn, like um, cutting off when I'm feeling I just want a little something, cutting off a little tab of butter, grinding a little coarse salt on it, and just eating that in 3 or 4 bites like you would have, like I used to eat, Reese's peanut butter cups or those little Snicker miniatures, all those things that we would pop in our mouth because we felt like we needed a little something. And all they really did was bring us down. They didn't give us what we needed. I've also become a big broth person. I
Okay.
have I have a friend who has chickens, both fryers and layers, and so I get my fresh eggs from her. And when they slaughter their chickens, the slaughterhouse also cuts the chicken feet. So I have a big stew pot and I have all my chicken bones in there, and I have those chicken feet, which is one of the best sources of collagen for your body. So I boil that for like 8 hours, let that just really thicken up, put it in 5 or 6 quart jars, put them in the freezer and take them out. And a quart jar usually will do me 3 days if I have a cup every day. That's also satisfied my need for, a cup of coffee or a cup of hot tea. I just have that nice warm broth, and you better believe I grind some coarse salt in that to have that nice salt taste to that. Um, and even other things like, we went to an Easter buffet on Easter Sunday. Well, I got a piece of the prime rib. I got some of the shrimp. I got some of the oyster, whatever they had. I just walked right on past all the salads, all the casseroles, and I went right down to the carving stations and I got some of all of it. And so I had this whole beautiful plate of all these gorgeous meats that, I don't get oysters and shrimp every day, but on Easter, by George, I did, right there along with the prime rib. So I can feel like I'm still in the social setting of dinner and out with people. And so that's been very good. Now, I will say also sometimes I do feel like the caveman that I eat it like because it just you
Yeah.
just eat up that steak, eat up that gnaw that bone, because that's where all the best parts of the meat are is trying to get that close to that bone marrow.
You're
But
singing to me when you speak that way. And this is why I'm continuing to try to build a community to normalize that what you've chosen, what I'm choosing is not bad for us. It is uncommon to most people
mhm,
to eat this way and believe that they will be healthier, that they will be
mhm,
healed, that they will feel better because we've been inundated with, eat more salads, eat more vegetables, eat more fruits, eat more processed stuff, right? We
yeah,
get a part of programs that, teach us count points. We have celebrities coming out with, take a GLP-1, right? And so we forget to just trust our body. So I first of all want to really commend you for just trusting your body, right? Trusting you to steward your body well. So you turn 60, which is a milestone. Congratulations, right? You don't look a day over 30,
thank
right?
you.
So you come into this milestone saying something is still feeling off to me, right? I want to do something different. And what I often challenge people to do is ask yourself if I needed to use this vessel as is now for the next 50 years, is it going to work for you, right?
Mhm.
And if it's not going to work for you for the next 50 years and you plan to be here and have any quality of life, this is where we come in to say, try something different. How do you get your body into an optimal state? So I remember a story you were telling me via text or messenger about not being able to sit in a certain place, right? You were struggling. You couldn't get your knees to do what you needed them to do. And then I think it may have been 1 week, 2 weeks into this, you were able to do that, which was the convincing thing that was like, oh, yeah, I can't go back. So talk to us a
Yeah.
little bit I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. My knees, I had so much inflammation in my knees. I had not squatted down all the way in 3 years, you know, but literally in 3 to 4 days with carnivore, I could squat down. And I was just like, oh my stars. I just squatted down to tie my shoes. I've not done that in forever. And then the second thing was my hands. I said, wow, my hands are so skinny. They weren't skinny. They had just been swollen for 15 years. All that swelling and inflammation had gone from my hands. And so now, I had not seen these veins and these lines in my hands in years. They had
Wow.
been swollen for 15 years. And so when you realize that your body had been trying to tell you something, but I didn't recognize that it was saying, Deborah, your hands are swollen. This is not weight. This is swelling. This is inflammation. So my knees and my hands, just the elimination really of the inflammation there has been phenomenal. I told someone, I had a cousin, I went on kind of like a first cousins weekend, and I had a cousin who was having a lot of issues. And so she's kind of watching me, and she kind of was asking me some questions, and she called me or texted me, the next week. And she tried it. And that was the first thing she said is, oh my goodness, the inflammation that's going down already. And then, I think all of us wanted the weight to happen, so fast. It's like, oh my gosh, I haven't lost much weight yet. But since February, I've lost 15 pounds. So I'd like to lose, thank you. I'd like to lose another 10, but also my body composition is different. My clothes feel like I've lost more weight than that. And, kind of those mammal muscles that are underneath our arms, I'm seeing those go away, and more, real muscles on top of the arms. So that I feel good about. And then the suppleness of my skin, I was not prepared for that. We've all felt those little babies and just those squeezy soft, how good my skin feels. I was really surprised at that, where I used to just bathe in lotion. My skin was always dry and flaky, but now it just feels soft and supple. I don't think I knew what that felt like on my own body, for so long. So that's been real exciting. So
yeah, I love all the things that are happening, how you can draw. I went into this for one reason, but I'm seeing so many other benefits, things that you were just like checking off, right? And so I like to just slow down and pause at
Okay.
these moments. Like, they are not, we call them non-scale victories. So yeah, the scale may be, acting up, staying the same, but you're seeing my clothes feel better, right? My skin feels better. I'm squatting now, right? So those are the things that when you nourish your body properly, when you fuel your body, it gets a chance to feel safe. Right now, what I keep wanting to reinforce for people is that when we are carrying this inflammation, and I like the way you're saying that, it's like a song. When we are carrying all this inflammation, the body is holding on to it because it cannot trust you to give it nutrients. So it's whatever it's getting, it's like, oh my God, I don't want that. Let me just push it to the side just in case I don't get more. It's like having a body casket on almost, right? It's no different than if you broke your arm and they put you in a casket, you got to wait a while. And so this is not a quick fix. It's not a diet. It is really allowing your body to heal from the inside out. I know for me, I have been in the 190s for like 3 years. But when I tell you the way my body is changing, the way my labs are changing, I know that my body is healing, but I'm not in a rush because I didn't rush into this, right? I snacked my way into this with some cookie, with some biscuit, with some pancakes. That's how I got here. And so I have to undo that by now teaching my body that it can trust me to steward it well. So thank you for sharing that. You mentioned earlier about sleep and how you were waking up in the middle of the night. Over these 15 years, you were having, the wake ups. Tell us about those nights and what your nights are like now.
Yes, those were terrible. I just didn't sleep through the night. I just did not sleep through the night. So then you're fatigued, then you're stressed, then you're anxious. But within just a few days, I was sleeping through the night. I remember waking up, before the alarm, just kind of opened my eyes and looking over, and it said 6:25. I was like, 6:25. I slept all night. Sometimes I would go to the bathroom 2 or 3 times. I don't think I really had to go to the bathroom. I just would wake up and I would go to the bathroom. There was just so much going on. But to sleep through the night and not, have to go to the bathroom, not be hot, throw the covers on, throw the covers off, but looking over and seeing that the clock said 6:25 was just the greatest feeling, that I had slept and I was rested and I didn't have, that interrupted sleep. It was a wonderful thing.
Yeah, so what there really is happening is this insulin, right? So when we continue to talk about blood sugar, we continue to talk about insulin. I try to help people understand that this is not just about being diabetic or pre-diabetic. We're talking about years and years of years, 15 in your case, of running high blood sugar, where maybe it's not showing up on the lab yet. Maybe it's not showing up as an insulin resistance yet. But the symptoms, as you said
Mhm.
earlier, your body was talking to you. It was trying to tell you something. And so this interrupted sleep was because when insulin is high, it's not going to rest. Your body is not going to release inflammation because insulin is on high alert. So now that you're lowering that by eating more meat, more protein, and not getting the sugar, then your body is like, oh, okay, we calm, we cool. You become insulin sensitive. And the night is like, okay, I can have a calmer night. I
Mhm.
can allow this body to rest and wake up at a certain hour because it's not on high alert, right? Because now my glucose is stable because I didn't just eat, crackers and, the Reese's cups, right? Before going to bed. So now I'm teaching my body that it's safe with me.
Mhm.
And so you're getting a chance to see, the results of that. And so I love it. So talk about like how family is receiving some of these things. I know you're married 25 years. Congratulations
Thank
to
you.
that. I know you're a grandmom. You're, active in your church, in your community. So in this space, you've become what I say as a church girl, like you're a different kind of light now, right? So
Yeah, yeah. So,
how
you know,
it going?
yeah, so at the covered dish, I get the ham. I If they have the little finger sandwich, I just open those little finger sandwiches up, take off the ham and cheese or the turkey and cheese or whatever, and leave those Hawaiian rolls that I used to just love. It's amazing that I don't want them. It's not a need when your body, and you told me this early on, when your body is getting what it needs, it doesn't crave those things that it thinks it's going to satisfy it. And when I have made a poor choice, it was a birthday, I had a piece of birthday cake of somebody's, I can immediately tell it. I can immediately, like, it's almost like I get this head rush of sugar, and it's like, oh, my body is saying, oh, I don't like this feeling. I don't sleep as well that night, but just give me a day or two. Let me remind my body that I'm not going to do this to you all the time. I'm going to go back. We're going to have a nice prime rib or sirloin, or one of my new favorites is air fried chicken that I egg wash and batter in pork rinds. Oh, my stars. Your grandma would think you fried the most beautiful chicken in the world. It's beautiful. It's delicious. It has that great crunch. to it, and then I'm just kind of all reset. So it's and people may kind of look over and see that I'm pushing the bread apart, or I didn't get the salads or the casseroles, but it's not hard to pick and choose from what the choices are, and make those good choices. My husband's been very supportive. He does a lot of the cooking. So, he'll scramble my eggs for me. He'll grill those steaks. He'll help me with that chicken. Um, we kind of like to do things on Saturday, kind of a brunch kind of thing. So where I used to make a quiche, now I just do a frittata that's all meat. So I scramble up those, break those 12 eggs, put that in a skillet, put that in the oven with all the hams and cheeses and bacon and sausage, and I have a beautiful frittata, and we can sit down on pretty plates and have a nice Saturday brunch. And I'm drinking my broth right out of that favorite coffee mug, and it's perfect.
Our broth mug. I love it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So what does exercise look like? What is your movement? What are you doing relative to movement?
Well, during COVID, my neighbor started doing this. She started the 100-mile-a-month walk during COVID. You have to do about 3.3 miles a day. So I started during COVID walking. And let me tell you, at first I thought, oh my goodness, I cannot walk 3 miles a day. But now I walk anywhere from 3 to 5 miles a day, almost every day. I went with my sister out to Zion National Park last week, and we walked 9 miles one day. So I stayed energized with a big steak that I had that morning. So that worked out great. And I also do water aerobics during the summer at an outdoor pool in my community. And I try, because, I'm sitting at this desk doing this a lot of the day with customers. I try to do that, every hour, get up and take 5 minutes, do a little walk through the house, get some water, do a few stretches, work my shoulder so I don't have that shoulder roll, and just try to stay more active and just work that in all day long.
Yeah, so now I'm going to ask a question, and I don't know if you all still have the camper. Are you still traveling with your camper?
We do still have an RV. We don't travel in it for work like we did, but we are doing a lot more vacationing, long weekends, and kind of my husband is fully retired. I'm trying to get there. But we do still go for long weekends. And so when we stay at a lot of, national parks or state parks, so those give you great opportunities just to take some quick walks, be outside, enjoy fresh air and sunshine.
That was my favorite thing about meeting you, Jim. I remember when we were working in Mississippi, I got a chance to see it one time. So amazing. So talk a little bit about the grandkids and how that's going. I remember your grandson.
Yes.
And are you incorporating anything different with them? Have you changed some with them, or are you letting them be?
Well, I'm trying to get my granddaughters to be, they're the junk food ones. The grandson, I think maybe being a boy, he's kind of always been a meat guy. I don't know that he eats any vegetables, and I used to just fret over that. Like, what vegetable, corn, what do you want? Whatever I could, like corn's a really good vegetable, But so now I don't even fret over that. He's, he wants the steak, nothing with it. Okay, that's fine. You're right on target. But my granddaughters, I'd love to see them make healthier choices. They are a lot of processed things that I just wish they wouldn't do.
Yeah. It's a little challenging when they have been so inundated. I was in a store the other day, and I can remember when I was pregnant with my son, like I loved Frankenberry cereal. And I walked past in Walmart. It may be today. I walked past in there and I just had all these flashbacks. I kept trying to convince myself why a little bit would be okay. And then I just had to keep saying to myself, this is not food. This is
Yeah.
not food. This is not going to nourish my body. It's not going to give me nutrients. And you have to continue to, because it's going to bombard you. You're going to see
Mhm.
it, right? So yeah, I am on the same path with, family members as well. So Deborah, if you had a chance to have a conversation with another woman who this is her year to be 60, and she's kind of been in this, kind of rote place of, you know, I'm doing all the healthy things. I'm eating veggie patties. I'm eating a lot of salads, saying things like these things run in my family. Like, let's just have a girlfriend conversation about how you would engage her in a way to get her to simply have at least what we talked about in education, right? A growth mindset. How do we get her to have just this small mindset shift? What would you say to her?
Well, my cousin that's trying it, I said, give it a week, just a week. I said, I'll help you plan a menu. I said, have steak every day the first week. I said, there's nothing better. There's nothing better. Or what's your favorite meat? I said, give it a week and just see. And she was shocked. And I think, like spinach, the more I read about how terrible spinach, the licitins or whatever those things are, but we always thought at Subway, oh, put spinach on my sandwich, don't put spinach, extra spinach. We just were just overwhelmed or just thought we had to get spinach and broccoli all the time. And those just really don't do it for us. So my thing was give it a week and just see, feel how, like you said, satiated you are. You're full, you're satisfied, you're not bloated. I mean, the no bloating, from eating and not, there would be times I can remember in those 15 years when my sleep cycle was so bad that if I had like a baked potato, I mean, I could hardly drive the car home. I would just be, it would just knock me out and I would just be, but then I'd be awake and couldn't go back to sleep. So all those foods that I responded to by just crashing, we were just so misinformed. It's really, if I only knew then what I know now, those
Yes,
15 years would have been a lot better.
yes. And so now you get to make these next 30 years, even better. And I appreciate you sharing that too, because I say the same thing. I'm like, if it's so hard for you to think about it, give it 7 days and just in your mind say, I'm not eating sugar. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's funny that you bring up spinach because I had a conversation just today with someone about eating spinach and spinach being one of the worst things. And we're saying it aloud here. If it's your first time hearing it and your mind is blown, just breathe and do a woosah and go do your research. Spinach is one of the worst things that you can put in your body. Lectins, oxalates, it is tearing you up. And so then I was sharing with the lady that I was speaking to today that also right behind that is kale. We have somehow made kale be some goddess when
Yeah.
kale used to be the thing that decorated the Pizza Hut bar.
Yeah.
And now we've made kale be none of these things are nourishing your body. You're not the person was saying to me that they are getting their potassium. I'm like, you're not. What you're getting is sugar. When people tell me they're eating nuts, they're saying they're getting their protein. No, you're not. You're getting sugar.
Mm-hmm.
These plants are so resilient inside of your body. They don't want to die. So
Mm-hmm.
they keep procreating inside of you, which is why you are inflamed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing an experiment in my garage right now with a bread in a plastic bag, and I'm watching this bread not dissipate and go away, but I'm watching it just mold every day. The mold starts to look different every day. But we consume bread all the time. And we think that, okay, I'm not doing white, I'm doing wheat. It doesn't matter, right? Sweet potato, white potato, it's sugar that's
Mhm.
to be in your body. Okay, we got a question for you. I'm gonna put this on the screen. Bear with me one second.
Okay.
All right, there you have it. Miss Faye Mary Woods is here. Thank you for joining. She wants to know, what is your favorite meal?
I would say steak and eggs. So a really good porterhouse or sirloin, and I mean, it takes up the plate, and then 3 to 5 scrambled eggs. That is just delicious, and
Yeah,
you can kind of encrust that meat with some salt.
you're
So
working on me, girl. You got me salivating over here. And
that's my
that's the
favorite.
thing, is that most people, you talked about calories earlier. Calories don't work, y'all. Hear me
Yeah,
loud and clear. Calories, you cannot count calories. It's a flawed system. Do some deep research. The thing is that a steak is gonna be satiating. You're not gonna be ravenous. And she's talking porterhouse is what she's eating.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I eat a nice pound of a ribeye. I eat all the fat on my ribeye. I'm not leaving any on the plate, right?
Mhm,
So we've been taught to like carve that part out and move it to the side. Eat a filet. And I used to be a filet mignon girl. I don't even want filet anymore, right?
mhm,
I
mhm.
am looking for the fat. This is good for your body. I know it's mind blowing to some of you that are joining us on this evening, but what your body requires is protein and fat in order for it to thrive. So Deborah's saying, for 15 years I was surviving. I was making it, I was living, I was here, I was doing all the things. Now she's made this switch to where she is thriving.
Yeah.
Right? She's squatting, she's walking 3 to 5 miles, she's going on hikes. This is what we're saying, is that the foods that you are eating are crippling you, basically, because plants do not want to die. Think about it like this. This came to me the other day. If you drive on a street that's had a plant for years and years and years, you will see where those roots to that plant have broken up the concrete. That's how resilient plants are. You think about a weed, you have some weed killer, you bring it out, you have the little felt paper you put over it, and you think you're done with weeds. They keep coming back and they bring more with them. That's
Mhm.
the same thing that we're saying about when you're eating these processed foods, you're eating these seed oils, you're eating mostly vegetables. Your body is rejecting that in a way that says, I can't poop it all out. So I'm going to store it as inflammation on the body. Deborah, I'm looking at your face from when you and I first started having conversations about this, and I'm just looking at this slimness in your
Yeah.
face. I tell people my neck returned.
Yeah, yeah. I've got clavicle bones again.
Yes, yes. I'm like, my neck has returned, right? And it surely is not about just the weight on the scale, because the inflammation is weightless in some cases. You'll
Mhm,
start to lose in weight. Like you said, your skin is softer, like a soft you've never felt before. So it really is this intimacy that you get to have with your body. So
mhm,
um tell me the times, and I teach my clients that we don't call things bad choices. We just call
mhm.
them choices. Like you said, if I show up and it's somebody's birthday, I may have a piece of cake, I may have a cookie. So talk to us about what you may allow yourself to have in a really rare, because I tell on me all the time. Like I tell them, like, I'm gonna be transparent with you. This is why the show is called Karnivore-ish,
Mhm.
because we are not militant here. So talk a little bit about that, so the ladies that are listening tonight can kind of have an idea of, she didn't come on here and say she was perfect at
Right.
this. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, recently there was, a fresh tomato that someone had picked. So on my hamburger patty with my cheese and bacon, I put a slice of tomato on it.
Okay.
I have had a cookie, I have had a piece of cake. I have even done cottage cheese and Greek yogurt is something that I'll eat a few times a week. I've even thrown that Greek yogurt in the blender, with a handful of strawberries, and put a splash of milk and had a smoothie because it's a kind of a cool, it's hot. It was a cool treat, you
Right.
know. And so um, someone else was asking about that. I said, this is life, you know. We're not going to always make the best choices about anything. We drive faster than we should. We don't do what we should. We do what we shouldn't. I said, this is just a choice that I'm going to make to have this. But I know that this is not the best thing I can do, but I'm going to enjoy this. And then may have some consequences tomorrow, but in 3 days when I've done the best things for my body, that will be through my system and I'll be a-okay about it. So
And I appreciate the transparency. So what I want the ladies that's listening tonight to hear is that there is a baseline for what is optimal for my body, right? And we know that is protein, fat, that's beef, that's butter, that's eggs. So that is the primary way that you're going to find us nourishing our body. The problem in society is that we have made those other things be a way of life,
Yes.
Eating a bowl of cereal, eating some oatmeal, eating a sandwich, thinking that we got to have a salad, going in the store and buying, popcorn. Like we eat popcorn every night. So what we're saying is that once you recalibrate your body, you reset your body, then your body is going to tell you what it wants and what it doesn't want, right? I was in Martha's Vineyard. They had this nice ice cream place. I went the first day. I tried the ice cream, no problem, right? The next day, I was like, well, yesterday was good. I'm out of town. I'm on vacation. Let me have some more ice cream. So I go back the next day. I have more ice cream. My body immediately was like, girl, you lost your mind. That's literally how my body talked to me. I don't know about the rest of y'all. Because that night, I literally had a Charlie horse in both of my legs at the same time.
Oh, wow.
So my body was rejecting that. My body was like, look here, I gave you a day and now you want to do all this.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what happens. You talked earlier about noise, right? What we've done is silence the noise, feed the body what it wants, and it's going to respond. And then it's going to tell you, yeah, you had that, but that wasn't optimal for us.
Right.
So what I teach my clients is that I'm never going to say I'm never going to eat a cookie ever in life again. I'm not saying that. I'm never going to say I'm never going to eat a donut again. What I'm not going to do is eat 2 dozen donuts. There was a time when I was a teacher, I would eat a dozen donuts on the way to school and a dozen donuts home and didn't think anything about it, right? And then I wonder why I'm sick. So now, because of this satiety lever that we have, we are able to get satiated in our bodies. And we ain't thinking about food. Like you said, if I eat me a big porterhouse, I'm not thinking about food all day. We're not doing breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's a marketing ploy, right? We break fast. That's our first meal of the day. And then I'm good. I'm not going crazy. And like you said, if something comes up, I feel like I need something, I can do a little butter. I can do a little salt. For me, I try to keep beef fat on deck. But those are the things that are giving you this thriving life at 60. And when I say, girl, you look good.
Thank
You look good, right? You're still getting around. You're still working a full-time job. You're still going to church. So you're not, and this is no, disrespect or judgment to anyone, but you're not on a cane. You're not succumbing to what could be and just calling it age. This is what we're really after. Like, it's not about age. On my show, I've had from, parents talking about their kindergartners all the way to 60. A couple of weeks ago, I had a couple on that was 74 and 72 to just show that this really is about how we are fueling our body. You cannot be afraid to eat unbreaded meat. Now, Deborah talked about what she does to her chicken tenders. I want you all to notice that she said coated. She coats her chicken with pork rinds. She didn't say breaded. Folks they'll be texting me, asking me, like, what she say she put on her chicken? No, it is with pork rinds, which are also meat based, but they make like the same thing as if you were flouring them, but it's not going to give you the same filler as a flour, but it'll give you the same crunch if you're looking for a crunch. For me, I can fry chicken wings. I rub mine in mustard. I add a little seasoned salt to them, and I'm still a deep fryer, but I deep fry in beef tallow that I render from my meat, and I have a crunch. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do that tonight when we hang up. I'm going to have me some. I've been on the road all day today, so well, Deborah, thank you again for being here. And what I want to do now is you said what you would, the conversation that you would the conversation that you would have with a female. So let me think about this. If you were starting again tomorrow, like what would you say to a person is their first step? So there are ladies who are listening. I see my best friend here. I see some church members here. What would you say to them? They saying, okay, this lady on the show tonight is convincing me. She looks good. She sounds good. She had this 15-year. I resonate with that. And so in the morning, when I wake up, I tell people that your next bite be your best bite. Walk them through what a day would look like for them tomorrow. What would they do for the whole day tomorrow?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I would scramble up at least 4 eggs. Cook it with a lot of butter in the skillet or your pan. I would grill a steak and have steak and eggs, and then make sure everything is salted pretty heavily. I would start saving chicken bones so that you can start making your own chicken broth, because it's so much better than any of that you buy in the store. But if that's what you have to have for tomorrow, fill your coffee cup with some chicken broth, zap it in the microwave, put some salt in that, and sit down and have a fantastic breakfast. And then if you could delay that a little bit, see if you can eat at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. I know with you have to get off to work, maybe that's not possible. But see if you can delay that to 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock or even 10 o'clock. And then about 2 o'clock, kind of check yourself. Do I need anything else to eat for the rest of the day? And then if you do, maybe have a little tuna or a boiled egg. But I think you'll see that you eat so much less food because the food you're eating is so much denser, and it just fills you and satisfies you. And then the second day, do the same. I think steak and eggs, and then maybe have some grilled chicken or some fried chicken in tallow or air fried chicken with pork rinds. Keep those things around that you can go to quickly. For me, it's tuna or salmon or boiled eggs when I just feel like I can't go the rest of the way, the rest of the day. I might also have a little cottage cheese, but read the label. I have found that only Daisy cottage cheese, it's amazing what they have in cottage cheese. It's like, why is there anything in cottage cheese besides, cream and salt? So read that label. Don't buy the cheap Walmart brand because it's got all kinds of junk in it that who knows what it is. Or a little Greek yogurt. Sometimes I may have that. If I just need a little something, I just buy the plain in the larger tub and just scoop out a little bit. Also, some hard cheeses I do eat. I'm kind of a dairy person. Dairy doesn't affect me. I'm not lactose intolerant. And then maybe have a grilled hamburger the next day. Just make you a big hamburger patty. I mean, the size of your pan. Salt that bad boy up and have that. Put a little beef broth, put a little butter in there, cook it in some butter. Sometimes if mine's feeling a little dry, I'll pour a little beef broth in it. just make beef. For me, it's beef, eggs, chicken, butter, broth. Those are my staples, and I'm not tired of them. That's what's also amazing to me is I don't feel like, oh my gosh, I'm having chicken again, or oh my stars, I got to have another steak. I don't tire of those because it's feeding and nourishing my body. It's not like where when we used to plan menus, we had to have something different, every night and plan this whole elaborate menu. So that's kind of my.
That was all so good. You gave me some ideas to even consider because I really haven't done tuna since I've been doing this. I do the canned salmon, the boneless skinless salmon. I'll make salmon croquette or like salmon patties out of that. I don't bread them. I just fry them like a burger.
Mhm.
Just gave me an idea to think about with tuna. So and I haven't made a burger the same size as my pan. That would be so that was a good idea too, because I'm usually trying to make them.
Mine's an 8 inch.
Oh my God. My husband and my son would absolutely love that because I'm still making little balls and frying them up, but it makes sense. Just make it into a pan size. So yeah,
Yeah.
I appreciate the schooling on that. And so this has been great, like really to just, reconnect with you. And this is why I say to people, like, you never know who's watching. This is why I keep coming back on Mondays, because who knew that I would get a message from Debra Simpson saying, "Oh my God, I've watched a little bit, I've seen some things, I've heard some things. I'm sure that you're following other people, but to know that we keep coming to this space on a consistent basis to just try to put it out there, like I really am on this mission. First for women because I am a woman, to try to help us see that we can live this life without all of the pain. I remember when I couldn't lift my arms, when my knees ached, when my ankles were swollen, when I suffered with gout. Someone was asking me about gout recently. Like, don't the red meat give you gout? No, the sugar gave me that.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
sugar is what dehydration is what gave me gout. So it is, and I say this often on the show, that you all have to do research beyond the first Google answer. Right. I see Miss Joyce House is joining. She's saying the exact same thing you said, Deborah. Just give it a week. She was on a couple of weeks ago with her husband. She's 72, he's 74. So, y'all, this has nothing to do with age. This is the part where you have to dial in, get intimate with yourself. So, Deborah, I want to leave you with whatever last parting words, and then I'm going to close us out. And if you'll hang around just for a second, I'll take you off screen, and then just want to chat with you for a bit. So if you'll give us the last words, and then I'll close us out.
Do it. Just do it. Just do it. You won't regret it. It's amazing.
That's it. So Deborah, thank you for sharing your story tonight. You've shown us that what it really looks like to be busy, because you're working full time, you're doing church, you have a husband, you have grandchildren, you have friends, you're doing the traveling. But as you said, and I love these words, that I am busy, I'm blessed, and now I'm balanced, and I'm happy and healthy at 60. 15 years went by where you were not able to see this. So for everyone watching, I want you to hear this. You're not behind. You're not broken. Healing is not about perfection. It's about a rhythm. It's about nourishing your body with what it was designed for. That is protein and fat. We talked a lot about salt and us having salt. Your body requires salt when you take all the other junk out. And again, this is the Karnivor'Ish Konversations, the place where truth and taste and transformation turn up. A space for ish. We want to be informed. We want to be satiated. You heard that a lot tonight. And you want to be in a place of healing. Don't rush this thing. Deborah says she started her journey in February after turning 60 in January. She's still on her journey. To me, it doesn't sound like she's going backwards. So things can only continue to get better. She continues to be able to add the things that are improving as a result of fueling her body properly. If you want to continue to follow me, please like, share, subscribe. I'm Advocator, Coach, Educator. And also, if you want to join the Karnivor'Ish community, find me on Facebook. Karnivor'Ish community, or you can look me up by name, DeNitra Davis. You can find me. So I thank you all for joining us tonight. Debra, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you to the highest. Good night, everybody.